We don't know exactly when Officer Joe Gutierrez was fired, but we know he was terminated following an internal investigation that found department policy was not followed. Now, the other officer is still employed with Windsor Police. Their body camera footage, along with the personal cell phone video of the man they pulled over, show us what happened in December. Now, we've watched these videos many times to put the story together, and it does not get any easier. Viewers should be warned, this video can be disturbing.
6:30 p.m., December 5th, 2020. Lieutenant Karan Nazario, driving in his Army fatigues through the small town of Windsor, Virginia, saw flashing lights in his rearview mirror. He wasn't sure why he was being pulled over. According to his lawsuit, he slowed down and put his blinker on, indicating his intention to pull over, but didn't do so for another minute and 40 seconds, which he later explained was in order to find a well-lit area.
Driver, roll the window down. Put your hands out the window. Turn the vehicle off. Put your hands out the window.
Hearing these different commands while sitting in his car with his seatbelt on, Nazario began recording from his own cell phone and put his hands out the window as ordered. Turns out Officer Daniel Crocker had not seen the temporary license plate taped to the back window of Nazario's brand new Chevrolet Tahoe. And seeing tinted windows and a driver not stopping right away, Crocker decided it was a high-risk traffic stop. But this was never explained to Nazario, who for several minutes continued to ask why he'd been pulled over.
What's going on?
How many occupants are in your vehicle?
It's only myself. Why are your weapons drawn? What's going on?
Get out of the car now!
I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated?
Yo, well, guess what? I'm a veteran too. I learned to obey. Get out of the car!
Body camera footage shows Officer Joe Gutierrez, gun drawn, unfastening the Velcro around what may be his taser at this time.
What's going on?
What's going on is you're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
The lawsuit says Nazario thought ride the lightning meant he could be killed.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I
ask you what's going on? Get out now.
I have not committed any crimes.
You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest you're being detained, okay? You're being detained for obstruction of justice.
Traffic violation, I do not have to get out the vehicle. You haven't even told me why I'm being stopped.
About 2 to 3 minutes in, Officer Crocker tried to open the driver's door. In his report, he wrote, quote, "When I attempted to unlock and open the driver's door, the driver assaulted myself by striking my hand away and pulled away from Officer Gutierrez's grip." But in his own body camera footage, Nazario is not seen striking anyone. Crocker's report also says that at this point, Gutierrez, quote, gave several more commands to comply with orders or he would be sprayed with his OC spray. But no such warnings could be heard. Gutierrez just sprayed Nazario, still without either officer having told Nazario what exactly he was pulled over for.
That's f***ed up. That's
Get out of the car now.
I don't even want to reach for my seatbelt. Can you?
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. You made this way more difficult than it had to be. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Can you please talk to me
on the
about
ground
what's going
now.
on? Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Why am I being treated like this? Why?
You're not cooperating. Get on the ground. Lay down, you're going to get tased.
The officers handcuffed Nazario, then stood him back up. He told them his dog was in the back seat and was choking from the pepper spray. Medics arrived and the conversation mellowed.
What would have been a 2-minute traffic stop turned into all this.
Nazario explained why he didn't immediately pull over.
I was pulling over to a well-lit area for my safety and yours. I have respect for law enforcement.
But Gutierrez said that wasn't the problem.
The climate we're in, what the media is spewing with the race relations between minorities and law enforcement, I get it, okay? So like I told you, as far as you not stopping and because you weren't comfortable and you wanted a well-lit spot, Lieutenant, that happens all the time. It happens to me a lot. And it's I would say 80% of the time, not always, 80% of the time, it's a minority.
And while the officers couldn't understand why Nazario didn't get out of the car as instructed,
I want you to comply.
Nazario said he didn't know why he was being stopped.
I've never looked out the window and saw a gun blazing immediately.
Gutierrez eventually told Nazario that he had a conversation with the chief of police and was giving him the option to let this all go.
There's no need getting this on your record. I don't want it on your record. However, it's entirely up to you. If you want to fight it and argue, I mean, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, okay? I mean, you have that right as a citizen. If that's what you want, we'll charge you. It doesn't change my life one way or the way.
The town of Windsor has also added police department-wide requirements for additional training after this incident, implemented starting in January. Now, the town manager told CNN that they're saddened for events like this to cast a negative light on their community. Part of his statement reads, rather than deflect criticism, they've addressed the matter with their personnel administratively.
We should note CNN has not been able to reach either of the officers for comment. It's unclear at this time if they do have legal representation. Let me bring in retired U.S. Army Major General Dana Pittard. He served as the former Army ground commander in Iraq. General, thank you. You're also the author of the book Hunting the Caliphate, and we're glad you're here this morning.
Morning, Poppy. Thank you for having me.
I have to ask you, as someone who served this country, just as Lieutenant Nazario has, you lived in Suffolk, miles away from where this happened. You know the area well, you know the culture very well. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, as you know, is saying he's very disturbed and angered by this video, as I think anyone waking up to see it is. What did you think as you watched it?
Well, I thought several things. First of all, we don't know all the facts, and that will come out in time. But what we do know, what we saw in the video, was absolutely unacceptable. You're right. I used to live in that area, and I'm familiar with the town of Windsor. That's the route that my family and I used to take to get to North Carolina, to get to I-95. You went through that town. And it just had that reputation of you need to go slow because it was almost like a speed trap. So I remember that. But this is bothersome on several levels. First of all, as a parent, as a father of two African-American sons who are 27 and 25, around the age of Lieutenant Nazario, when your child gets stopped and you're a person of color, it's not a routine traffic stop.
Right.
What we've taught our sons to do is to call somebody, put on your flashers, your blinkers, slow down, pull over. But if it's not well lit, try to get to a well lit place if you can, and then follow the instructions of the officers. Be polite. And in this case, I felt like that's what he was trying to do. Now, the one thing maybe he didn't do is when they said get out of the car, get out of the car. But very confusing situation with the police with their guns drawn on him. It's very difficult. And they didn't even tell him, why he was being stopped in the first place.
And to your point about, not getting out of the car right when they said to, let me remind people who may not have seen the whole video, and they should go back and they should watch it all in Natasha Chen's report on it. But when the officer said, get out of the car, he said, I'm honestly afraid to get out of the car. And one of the officers responded, you should be. That is significant. You should be afraid to get out of the car.
My heart leapt when I heard that, because what we want of our children in that case, adult children, is we want them to come home and come home alive. And that situation could have turned south even more, and it could have been much, much worse. But in many ways, the de-escalation was taking place from Lieutenant's calm behavior, Lieutenant Nazario's calm behavior. The police were not trying to de-escalate, but he was. And part of that may have been his training of the U.S. Army and his overall demeanor, but it was calm. So, in fact, his demeanor helped to de-escalate the situation somewhat, as he was trying to.
There is a moment that I think is really important at the end of the, I don't even know what to call this, confrontation doesn't even fully explain it, but I just watch this between the lieutenant and one of the officers, and I want your reaction on the other side.
There's no need getting this on your record. I don't want it on your record. However, it's entirely up to you. If you want to fight it and argue, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, okay? You have that right as a citizen. If that's what you want, we'll charge you. It doesn't change my life one way or the way.
In fact, it did. It changed both of their lives, and that officer has been fired. But I just wonder what you make seeing that, saying it doesn't need to be on your record. It turns out the lieutenant had the temporary license affixed to his rear window.
He did, and you would have thought that the police officers would have seen that, because that was the whole reason why they gave for stopping him in the first place. I have problems with that period, you know, that last interaction. It's almost like he's kind of implying a threat to the young lieutenant's career. And, you know, there's over or nearly 200,000 service members in the entire Hampton Roads area between the Army, Air Force, and obviously the very, very large naval base in Norfolk. So one would have thought that the police were used to interacting with service members. In fact, you know, most service members and leaders, and Lieutenant Zara is an officer in the United States Army, we're used to working and cooperating with the police. We protect and defend the nation abroad. The police protect and serve here. So we're used to working together. But he did not, or at least one of the officers, if not both of them, did not even give him the credibility of being an officer in the United States Army, serving his country, even though he clearly said that.
In
so
uniform.
I have problems with that.